MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got Gareth Berman. He's the founder and CEO of GMAT Consulting. And we're talking about the big problem that many of us have, which is how do I work on the business and not in the business? So I'm going to tell you a quick story that happened from my perspective. Many years ago, I was the only person who was selling in Raizcorp. And as a result, I had exactly the same situation where once you start selling, guess who the client wants to see? Is you. They just want to see you. I met actually an industrial designer at one of the universities who was doing a lecture, and I invited him to solve the problem about how do I design myself out of my role. That was basically the brief to him, is that the view in the market and the view in the company was only Allon can sell. And so how do I then change that, especially given the current clients that I have? Today, we've got 14 salespeople. I've got a few clients of my own that I keep just to keep in touch with the market. And probably 95% of our clients have never met me, okay, at all. So I've moved to that point. But a big part of that journey was to be very deliberate about it and stepped in that. So to say that you're just going to move from 70-30 to 30-70 is a lie, and we both know that. To be in a position in a growing business where you are always the shock absorber from a labor perspective because you've got the skills is normal. That's never going to go for as long as you're in a growth trajectory, because you are always absorbing the person who doesn't arrive, the person who leaves, the extra project that came about, the extra capacity that you need as a result of somebody messing up, etc. So I want to take the fantasy away that there's ever a position where it's 100% zero, or even 10%, 90%, where you're 10%, in working in the business and 90 on the business. But the first thing that we need to do is understand I asked you what you represent. Remember I said, what is it? Why do they want Gareth? What do you represent? Because you want to effectively create a surrogate of that outside of you. If you represent, and I wrote some of the things here, if you spoke about they want intimacy, you didn't use the word intimacy, but they want the relationship. There's a concept, they want intimacy. And the second thing is they want flexibility. Then that has to be, that value proposition has to move out of Gareth into the business. So part of that is how you sell the business. So GMAT has got, it's not Gareth, it's not I will, okay, I will, not even our team will, the company will. You're trying to move in a very deliberate way the value proposition out of the individual into the business. If I ask you the question, have you had a Coca-Cola product in the last 12 months? The answer would be probably yes, okay? Do you know who the CEO of Coca-Cola is globally? And the probability is that you don't know, and neither do 99% of the people watching this, maybe 100%. And the reason is because you don't care. As long as you get your Coca-Cola product at the right price, at the right time, when you want it, okay, in the right volume, the rest, you don't care who the CEO is. So the value proposition that Coca-Cola and other large companies has created is out of the product, out of the business delivers the value, not the CEO, not the owner, not the shareholders. They don't provide the value. So that's the deliberate journey that you have to go on. And the starting point is to try and replicate and try and understand what you represent, why you're successful, why they want you, and then basically say you can get that here. So the interim position when doing that is for you to bring in the first person that you hand over to. So in your client, you're trying to hand over to somebody, and you always, because you're highly vulnerable, but you're in a bind because of resources, financial resources. But you want to make sure that not only are you the alternative to this individual should they leave, but you are also got another person that is also in that team that is also supporting that individual, because you don't want the situation when they leave for you to then just go back to the old habits. You want to be able to move the next person into support that role. But I get that there's financial constraints around having that kind of team set up, but it's possible. Okay. Then for me, just instinctively, if I were to look at a very superficial level, your pricing is wrong. Okay. Your pricing must be wrong. Because if you say you're specialized, okay, which I'd have a question mark around because of how you answered the first those first questions, then I would say that if you're specialized, you can command a higher price. So either you are specialized and you're not communicating it enough, or you're not really specialized. One of the two. I don't know which it is, but you need to reflect on which one of those two it is. If you are specialized, then I'd look at pricing, because then the choice from the client is not there, and your supply demand curve, economics 101, price goes up. Okay. If you're not specialized and want to be specialized, then the journey is to specialize, is to do that, is to try and achieve that specialization that you're wanting to get to in a very real, authentic way. And that would be through unique processes, unique methodologies, etc., things that only you can do that others can't do. And then I want to leave you with one last equation. Here's the mistake that happens is when I'll answer the question, what you love and what are you good at? The first place that you remove from your day-to-day activity should be the things that you're bad at and the things that you dislike the most. That's the first quadrant you go for. But there is an equation in that. If you then hire in that quadrant somebody else, they need to free up sufficient time in your diary for you to go and sell. Okay, which you said you enjoy doing, which is a great thing, for you to go and sell. And you need to believe that the GP, the gross profit that you can generate from that free time in terms of the number of sales that you make is higher than the total cost of company of that individual. If you don't believe that, you don't hire. But if you believe that, you do hire. So then you have to then tease out why you don't believe that. And, that's another whole place. But that's the place to go, is where I'm bad at and what I dislike most. But and I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. I hope that gave you some things to think about.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I hope it gave you some things to think about it. And that's all for this week. And do remember, if you think it, write it down and make it a reality.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.